Alrighty, so believe it or not, application season is coming up again. And this is the first video in a series I want to make to help you think more strategically about your HBS application. So consider subscribing if you're curious about the inside scoop. This is what I didn't realize when I applied. HBS has a very distinct culture. And if you understand that culture, you can craft an application that actually resonates with the admissions committee rather than trying to figure out how to impress them. So, today I want to talk about what I didn't fully understand until I was inside, and more importantly, how understanding these dynamics should shape the way you present yourself in your application. We're going to talk about the prestige reset, the social environment, the difference between talking and thinking, the very obvious rat race, the growth that actually happens here, and the qualities that quietly stand out. So I remember the first day of school. I went to a happy hour with my section and I talked to this one girl. I asked her where she went to school, which was some Ivy League school, and then asked her if she studied economics because literally 50% of the people I talked to had studied economics, so it was a pretty safe bet. And she retorted, insert Ivy League school, is a liberal arts school and we don't have economics. And right then and there, a flip switched and I realized something very important. The playing field has reset. Nobody cares where you went to undergrad. Nobody cares what your previous title was. Nobody cares how impressive your resume looked during admissions. Everyone here is impressive. Once you get in, you're immediately on a level playing field. Prestige that worked outside stops working immediately. Now, here's why this matters strategically for your application. If prestige stops working once you're here, then why would it be the main thing that gets you in? HBS is not trying to admit the most prestigious resumes. They're admitting people who can operate in an environment where prestige has been neutralized. That is very different. Prestige doesn't just disappear, it just moves. There will always be someone with a more competitive internship offer, so if your entire narrative is around signaling status, it won't differentiate you here. In your application, instead of stacking credentials, you need to show how you define success, what drives your decisions, and what conviction looks like for you. Because once you're here, those are the only things that matter. Next, the reality of social life. There are 100 people in your section, literally. Thousands of people on campus, and everyone is socially competent. Everyone is nice. And nice is often what people say when someone is unmemorable. First semester is very high velocity, clubs, events, recruiting, dinners, constant interaction. The challenge isn't that people are unkind, it's that depth requires intention, and time is scarce. So, why does this matter for you? Because HBS is building a community, it's not just admitting individuals. They're asking, will this person contribute meaningfully to others? Will they invest in relationships? And will they move from surface level to substance? If your application only talks about personal achievement and not how you engage with others, you are missing a major point here. HBS gives you access to everyone, but connection requires intention. And that intention, that relational depth, is something you should demonstrate in how you tell your stories. Next, let's talk about thinking versus talking, especially in the classroom. We already know that the case method rewards participation, and speaking does matter, but there's a huge difference between talking and thinking. I've seen people who will talk for 3 minutes straight when 30 seconds would have been just fine. They repeat the same point 3 or 4 times and say the same type of comment in every single class. Intelligence is really, really common here, I promise, but wisdom, I promise, is not. The people who stand out usually listen actively, they synthesize, they add something new, they change their mind, and they don't dominate airtime, but they shift the room when they speak. And here's how it's applicable to your application. HBS is not admitting people who just have opinions. They're admitting people who think well. So when you write your essays, don't just state outcomes. Show how you processed information, how you weighed trade offs, and how you changed your mind. And especially how you've handled ambiguity. That is the muscle that thrives in the classroom, and that is what they're screening for. Next, let's talk about the rat race. Ambition is visible here. Recruiting conversations start early in October or even earlier than that. People know who got what, and the prestige hierarchy exists. It's not subtle, and comparison is very easy. You can start optimizing your life around what looks good and still instead of what is aligned to your personal mission. And here is the key takeaway: HBS does not need more people who chase clout. They already have those. They're looking for people with conviction, people who know what they want, say no to misaligned opportunities, move intentionally, and define success for themselves. If your application reads like you're following the expected path, like consulting then PE then something without clarity or why, that shows. Conviction is attractive in this environment because comparison is so rampant. Now, I kind of want to spend some time talking about how I've grown here. I'm actually very happy here. I feel settled. I feel secure, even though I'm an introvert and talking in class in the beginning was kind of terrifying. But I wanted to get better at voicing my opinion when I didn't have all the data. And that muscle has definitely grown. I'm more confident and I'm also more aware of my blind spots. Constant exposure to my peers' opinions forces me to think about the second order effects. It helps me weigh trade offs that I weren't even aware of before. I get to see angles that I naturally wouldn't consider. That intellectual stretch is real. And that is what HBS is actually selling and looking for in your application. They're not just giving you access, they're not just giving you a brand, but they're giving you a way of thinking. So HBS really, really values continuous learning, and they are constantly looking for that. So, in your application, especially that growth oriented essay, signal that you're excited about this intellectual challenge, that you value being stretched, and that you're open to being wrong, because that's what this environment demands. So, now that we've covered all of that, who actually thrives here? AKA, who actually gets admitted? It's the people who enjoy learning about other people, the ones that don't need to be the smartest in the room. People who are aware of others' ambition but make an active decision to resist comparison and choose conviction over status symbols. And here's why that matters for anybody's HBS application. Your essays are not just about what you've achieved, they're signals of how you will behave inside this amplifier. HBS amplifies ambition, it amplifies insecurity, it amplifies confidence, and it amplifies curiosity. If you understand that and you can demonstrate emotional maturity in how you define success and make decisions, your application will naturally align with the culture here, and I think you will probably be admitted. So now that you understand the game that you're choosing to step into, I would reflect upon what you decide to put in your application and evaluate it through this lens. And in the next video, I'm excited to get more tactical. So if you found this helpful and or if you're curious, please consider liking and subscribing. Until next time, bye guys.